Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to the CCSQ Data and Analytics Town Hall. So for those of you who are new, these calls are designed to provide you with updates, announcements, and training demos related to the CDR, SAS Viya, Databricks, and more. So we are going to cover a couple of administrative reminders before we kick things off and pass things over to our presenters today. So just a reminder to please stay muted during the call to minimize interruptions. Please use the Zoom chat feature to ask any questions. We will, as long as time allows, have a Q&A portion at the end of our call where we can answer those questions. And I'll be keeping track of them in the Zoom chat and recording those. Anything that we don't get to, for instance, if you ask a question and we run out of time, or maybe our presenters need to clarify some information, we will publish all of those Q&A, both the questions and then the answers as well, get them clarified and get them published over to the CCSQ DNA portal after the event. And then along with that, our meeting materials will also be made available. So with that, we are going to move over to today's agenda. So to kick things off, we're going to have nursing home migration to iKeys. Then our second presentation will be introducing the new data catalog. Then we'll have adding descriptions to data assets in Unity Catalog and Databricks. And then finally, we'll be closing things out today with a live demo of Code Commons Learning Path. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Paul to give us more information about himself and his topic. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Crawford. I am the product owner for the Cumer team and the STAR team that provide data from iKeys to the CDR. So today, what I'm going to talk about is our recent migration of nursing home data from the legacy keys databases to the iKeys databases. So if you want to go ahead to the next slide. Last month, we migrated all of the data related to nursing homes, surveys, enforcements, intakes. All of that data is now frozen in the keys databases. So the keys Casper and keys Casper Act schemas. There is data up through July 14th. There may be some small things that do slide through as we still have those data sets actively being updated on a daily basis. And there are, every once in a while, something that got put in through Aspen that then will get put back into iKeys. So there, you may see some slight changes, but you should stop using anything from Keys Casper and Keys Casper Acts if you're querying nursing home providers, as that data will no longer be accurate and will not have anything post July 14, 2025. You should look to start rewriting queries in the iKeys underscore schemas. So we'll walk through those here in a moment of what data is where. The data is not organized in the same way. So it will take some time to be able to kind of rewrite your queries. We do plan to keep this frozen data available for nursing homes in the Keys Casper and Keys Casper Acts schemas, at least until January, so that you can use that to kind of rewrite queries and test them out to make sure that you're getting the data that you're looking for. Go to the next slide. So I'm going to walk through the different schemas that we have available for iKeys data, where the nursing home survey provider data will live, and kind of walk through what schemas you should use for what. So the first schema is the iKeys provider schema. This schema has all of the provider level information. So it's going to include your operating status, provider types, subtypes, deeming information, their address as far as their physical addresses. There is a primary address, and then they have all of their other addresses. So that's something that's a little different in iKeys than what it was in the past. And some of the details that were in Casper Provider Common are now filtered out into some areas of the iKeys provider and the iKeys survey schemas. The next schema is the iKeys survey schema. So this will have all of the details related to the surveys performed, citations. This will also include all data collected through the CMS forms. So this would be the form 671, The 1539 data will be in there as well. And then also it will include the IDR data, the independent dispute resolution data. The IKEYS regulation schema will contain all the details for the Code of Federal Regulation for each provider type. So this not only for nursing homes, but all the other provider types that are in IKEYS at the moment. And so this has all the reg set information, the text and tag information. Next slide. Here we go. So the next one is the IKEYS enforcement schema. So the data that generally lived in the AIM tables in Keys Casper schema and in the CMP tables, that data will be available in the IKEYS enforcement schema. So that will be all located into the IKEYS enforcement. The IKEYS intake schema will replace what was the Keys Casper Acts information. So this is all the data related to the complaint process and intakes. Allegations, findings, all of that will be in the IKEYS intake schema. Next slide, please. We have the last two, I think, are the IKEYS letters. So this will have all of the different information related to letters as well as the letter template information so that you can find all the different categories and status of the letters as of the previous day. And the last one is the IKEYS location schema. So this is where the county, region, state, and state region information is housed. So you would link to this to pull that level of information when you want to join to that. That was something that was included in the Keys Casper schema, but has now moved to the location schema. I believe that is all we have for the IKEYS data. So, but yeah, highly recommend that if you can start rewriting your queries, and the data dictionaries are up to date with all the information and the new data elements that have been added for nursing homes. So any questions, just contact the Keys Help Desk.
Thanks so much, Paul. Okay, so with that, we are going to pass things over to Julie and Sean for introducing the new data catalog.
Hi, I'm Julie Alvarez. I am the product owner for the QDAS team that handles the new data catalog. That will be coming out towards the end of September is when we're targeting it. If you could go to the next slide. Oop, did it go? Oh, there it goes. Okay. A little
I was
delay on
going to
my
say
end.
it did on my end, but hopefully you're
Yeah,
seeing.
I have a little delay on my end. I will give you an overview of the data catalog and then we'll follow it up with a demo so that you can see some of the things that I will go over. The data catalog, the new data catalog, has capabilities such as optimized data management, discovery, and governance that simplifies how the data is found, organized, and governed. That ensures compliance and reduces some friction between the teams. We are empowering data owners with the direct control over their data asset descriptions so that they don't have to rely on any intermediaries to do that for them. We are providing real-time visibility for data consumers so that they can have instant insight into what the data is that's available and its trustworthiness or health. And all of this is through streamlined access through the CCSQ Data and Analytics portal. You'll be able to access the application through the My Portal page, as well as access training and support materials. Can you go to the next slide? All right. Some key features that you will see during the demo. It's a very user-friendly and intuitive navigation. We also make visible real-time updates and management and offer various ways to manage the metadata. We allow for custom ownership. That means, you can use organization-specific nomenclature with your data asset descriptions. Access and permissions are controlled through access policies and fine-grained permissions. So your security is built in with that granular control and policy-based access. that allows the right people to have the right level of visibility. We offer dataset related incident reporting and management so that known bad data can be flagged and others can see that and recognize that as well as when it's resolved. And it also offers various data usage statistics and analytics to see how the data is being used. Next slide. Okay. To be able to access the new data catalog, you have to have at least one of these HARP roles. In the Databricks roles, either developer or admin role. Another role is the DUA owner role, as well as SAS Viya roles that will be available only until November 30th. So if you have a SAS Viya viewer, analyst, data engineer, or admin role, you'll need to ensure that you also get a Databricks role. As far as privileges, once you're in the application, DUA owner roles have the editing privilege. All others will be given the view-only privileges within Data Catalog. Next slide. As far as metadata management, the flow of all changes to metadata will go from Unity Catalog to Data Catalog. Unity Catalog is the primary source of that metadata at this time. We have a scheduled sync process that syncs those changes on a scheduled basis from the Unity Catalog to Data Catalog. And what this means and what's important for you to remember is that changes that are made in Data Catalog at this time do not flow back to Unity Catalog. So you really want to make sure that you make any changes over in the Unity Catalog that you want to have visible in the Data Catalog. And Alex will touch on that a little bit later in her presentation on the Unity Catalog. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sean, who will give you a demo of the new Data Catalog.
Thank you, Julie. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sean, team lead here on the Databricks. So I'll give you a demo of this new tool we've been building. So picking up where Julie left off. So here's Portal at the moment in dev. And shortly, you will be able to get to Data Catalog, at least a new Data Catalog, in a couple of ways. So by clicking Data Catalog here, which currently takes you to the Confluence page, but over time, it's going to take you to our new tool. You would also be able to get there if you go to My Portal. We're going to have a charm down here for you to click in order to get to the application. And currently, the current data catalog, this is what it looks like. A lot of you are familiar with it. You can come in here and see, claims data, open up this, document and see what the different column names, all of that. However, we decided to build an application so we can not have to do this Confluence page, an application where you can see the same thing as well as user-controlled access permissions and things like that. So once you're in, once you have all the accesses and all that, your DUA, all of that is all situated, it brings you here. So this is our dev environment, but eventually we're going to have production up and running within the next month or so. So here it is, the new data catalog tool, very clean UI we've developed here. This is a third-party tool, a third-party open source tool. Think of data catalog as sort of like the Google or GitHub of CDR data, right? You go here if you need to learn or discover things regarding data, what columns do I need for claims data or just anything you want to know. So what I'm going to go over is sort of like search and discovery, governance, metadata ingestion, APIs, and a host of other features. So once you're in, you can see right off the bat in the bottom left corner here, there's this concept of groups, right? So depending on based on your organization, there are two groups for each org, right? There's a editors group for your org, and there's also a readers group, right? Editors are people who have the Databricks admin role or the DUA role. And then readers are just everybody else who's in the org who doesn't have those DUA roles. And that's important because, editors have added privileges of what they can do on data sets in here, right? Editors can make API calls. They can sort of add various different components and pieces. While for readers, it's really just like a read-only situation in discovery. So deep dive into this search. So if I just type a wildcard here, you can see what the search looks like here. So this is just a little bit of data that's in here. You're probably wondering, how does the data get in here? So like how Julie mentioned earlier, the data gets in here from data catalog, right? So I'm here in data catalog, or sorry, Databricks Unity catalog here. So I see this CDR dev catalog here, which in production is going to be CDR prod. So what we do is we set up ingestion jobs, right? These are on a schedule that pull in whatever data is in, whatever metadata is in Unity catalog. We ingest all that information. So for example, all these schemas, tables, columns, all of that is ingested into data. So what that looks like is, so for this particular schema here, or catalog here, CDR dev, it has various different schemas, or what we call like containers. So for example, CDR PDA here has all these different tables, right? So sort of like a tree. You can go in and look and keep finding exactly what you're looking for if you don't know already. So I can see all these different tables in here. I could even keep going. So if I click this guy right here, I can see the various different columns, what the type, any description. And like I said, all this is coming from the Unity catalog side. So it's very like a nested structure. So that's documentation. This is any like description of the table that might be coming from UC or Unity catalog. Lineage as well. Lineage just shows you sort of like the flow of the data. There's properties, various different information, metadata, and there's something interesting as well as queries. So the DUA owner or the editors group of your org, they can come in here and add special queries that they might feel like it's useful for people. So for example, you can add a query like this, right? So anybody who has access to this entity or schema can see like what these queries are, right? Which is very useful because now you have a query that you can go in and use right off the bat. So very useful. And there's various other things that I'm not going to get into. That's for future releases. But one thing I want to touch on is just you being able to like report if there's any issues. So if you click on a specific data set or entity, you can raise an incident. So for example, if there's an issue, you can raise a flag just so people can know, oh, maybe the column that is showing here it might have been removed or it doesn't exist anymore. And it needs to be like fixed or addressed by the editors. So that's that. On the right side here, you can see other various information. So you can see who the owner is. So coming in from Portal side, Portal is going to tell us who the owners of these data sets are, and that ownership is assigned to particular like groups. So for example, it could be assigned to like the CDA, TDA, QDAS org, right? And they're technically like the owners of this. So if there's ever an issue, you can reach out to whoever the representative of that org. There's other stuff here for future releases that I'm not going to get into, but the key one here is just like tags. We can tag uh, data sets and entities with different like strings. That way, when you go to the search page or to the search tab, you can see uh, just a list of things that has those tags. And then next, I'm going to go into more about like the groups and how that works. So touching on it earlier, so the way it works is each org is going to have two groups, right? And basically all we're doing is we're looking at each org's permissions in Portal. So based off of like your DUA, right? Your org's DUA, we provision what you have access to in here, right? So you can't just come in here and see everything, right? There are specific public data sets, right? That's available to everyone. But what you can see here is it's based on what you have access to in your DUA, right? So on our backend side, we provision access based off of what Portal says you're supposed to have access to. Um, and all of that is done through groups, users, and permissions. So we create your orgs groups, and then we assign your user to the correct, what this editor reader, right? And then also we configure policies, right? We configure policies based off of that information, right? So your org has a policy to only be able to see, you know, this particular data set, right? So all of that is done on our backend side. So something like this, right? So all of that is handled on our backend side. Going back to the data source, there's various other things that we can ingest into Data Hub rather than just Databricks, right? We can ingest from S3, from Glue, or other various different sources. So this massive capability that we have here with this tool, not just like Databricks stuff, just various other things. And then particularly for editors, right? So editors, like I said, they have elevated privileges, right? One cool thing they can do is there is an API endpoint. So here's a Swagger page of all the various different endpoints that you can interact with. If you want to hit, via like Postman or something like that, right? All you would need if you are a editor is an access token, right? So that access token, you create one. And then so what you can do now is in Postman or something like that, you can hit this endpoint and see various different information here, right? So you can use Data Hub outside of Data Hub in Postman or curl or whatever other platform you use to make API calls. And I believe that's the gist of it. Let me know if I'm missing anything, Julie, but I believe I've covered the big things. There's various other features like glossary and domains and suggested properties that I didn't touch on, but these will come over time. It's basically just a way for people to keep a list of special terms in order to like explain things, but this will be for like future states. But yeah, this is the uh, Data Hub tool. My name is Sean, and yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Julia or myself, and we can help. So we're looking forward to releasing this hopefully soon. Thank you.
Okay, just verifying you can see my screen again. Okay, awesome. Thank you both so much. So with that, hopefully hopefully. Okay. We are moving over to our next presentation. So I'm going to be passing things over to Alex at this point for more information on adding descriptions to data assets in Unity Catalog and Databricks.
Thanks, Julia. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alex Clark. I'm a product owner on the CDR Databricks team responsible for data management. I'm happy to be here with you all today. So we can jump to the next slide. So as Julie and Sean both mentioned, we are launching this new awesome data catalog tool, which means that the Confluence page will be going away as we've discussed. And so one of the main benefits of this new data catalog tool is that it can talk directly to Databricks and specifically to Unity Catalog. So this implementation will allow data owners to directly manage and update those assets in Databricks Unity Catalog, providing that immediate visibility for those data consumers. So just some key things to highlight on this slide as part of this transition. So the data catalog on Confluence will soon be decommissioned, and those standalone data dictionaries will no longer be supported. And even now, the data owners can start managing that metadata directly in Databricks Unity Catalog. So along with the information provided in this town hall, we'll be sending out more information and comprehensive guidance on how to do that and ensuring a smooth transition. We can jump to the next slide. So today I just want to briefly explain how to manage those data assets directly in Databricks and Unity Catalog. And it's so that it can be sent to that new data catalog tool with the ingestion workflow that Sean mentioned in his demo. And so we want to make sure that with Unity Catalog now live for CDR, that data owners can add metadata directly to the data assets that you all own in Databricks. This will immediately for users in Databricks provide better documentation, understanding, governance of the data as they're using it directly. And then ultimately, of course, will connect directly to our new data catalog tool so that the information is there as well. So some applicable objects here. So metadata can be added in Databricks Unity Catalog to catalog, schemas, tables, columns, etc. The most important one for our purposes and our day-to-day work is going to be those schema, table, and column level descriptions. And so a lot of that information is what users currently find in those data dictionary files available in Confluence. We can jump to the next slide. So there are two ways currently that Databricks allows for implementation of those comments and metadata objects. So you can do it directly in the Databricks UI. There will be more information provided on how to do that. You can also do it through SQL commands, and similarly, more information will be provided. So even starting today, if you own tables in Databricks, if your org owns these, you can start managing these assets immediately. Feel free to, play around with that information, add new information, update information that might already be in there. My team did do a migration effort to take all of the information that was in those data dictionary files in Confluence and import it into Unity Catalog where we could. So you might already see information there, and that's where that came from. So all of those updates that you add to Unity Catalog in Databricks will be ingested into the new data catalog tool, as Sean was covering, and that's to make sure that the information is consistent across platforms. And it will just be one directional for now, so going from Unity Catalog to data catalog, and then potentially in the future having a two-way communication there. So we will provide the link to this article mentioned here, and that article will provide detailed instructions on how to add these comments in Databricks and Unity Catalog. Also provides information on the permission that you would, your org would need to be able to add these comments. And so that's where the table ownership really comes into play. And we can jump to the next slide. And then finally here, just a quick snapshot of how this looks. So looking at the DDPS Part D schema in one of the tables here in our CDR prod and Databricks environment. This is what you might have already started to see in that comment column there in the first screenshot on the left. And that is essentially what you'd be used to seeing in those data dictionary files that come from Confluence. Now you can have that information directly in Unity Catalog as you're working. And then on the right there, Databricks does offer an AI assistant. So there is this AI suggested description here. You as a data owner have the option to accept, edit, add something else, but just a nice feature that Databricks provides. So I think that's all I have for you all today. Like I said, we'll definitely send out more information and make sure that if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alex. Okay, so with that, I'm going to be passing things over to Tim for our final presentation today.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
So I am going to be giving you all a demo of the user services team's Code Commons learning path. But before that, I actually have some additional reminders and updates from the team. The first is, actually, would I be able to share my screen? Cool. So the first is we would like to remind everybody to not store data on your Databricks workspace. That is, don't store data in this place.
Tim, I can't see your screen.
I am about to share
Okay.
it. This place. So you see how it says workspace users, and then this is my stuff. Your personal workspace on Databricks is for programs only. And there's a bunch of reasons why we don't want you storing data here. Maybe the most upfront and annoying reason of which is that there's a file size limit. So if your data is too big, it'll just break. The big reason though is that we don't own this space. So if something goes missing, we can't help you, right? This is a space owned by Databricks, and we just won't be able to do anything. The place where you should be storing your data is on your workbench. So that is your S3 bucket. We have plenty of resources and documentation on how to mount and unmount your S3 workbench, how to save, read, store data to and from this. So please keep that in mind when you start moving data about. This is not the place for it. Cool. Okay, that was the first thing I wanted to let you all know. The second thing is that we have some updates with the new Databricks runtimes. So if you recently have gone to either edit your cluster or creating a new cluster, you'll notice that you have limited choices when deciding on a runtime here. We as a policy only maintain the 3 most recent LTS, that stands for long-term support, the 3 most recent LTS versions of the Databricks runtime environments. So I think it's 13 and down are now no longer able to be created. However, many of you already have clusters that have version 13 and down up and running. So please, if you are unsure, you should update to one of the currently maintained versions. Anything 13 and down or anything that you don't see on my screen right here is considered to be out of compliance. Furthermore, if you are an R user, like I am, you might be a little annoyed to find out that Sparkly R, the go-to library for using Spark in the R language, is not yet compatible with Scala 2.13. So if you are an R user, please make sure you are picking one of these 3 options here with Scala 2.12. The reason for this is that Sparkly R is not actually maintained by the maintainers of Spark, so it takes a little bit of time for things to catch up. So just stick with Scala 2.12 for now. It's not a big deal. Okay, that was my second thing out of the way. Now I get to show you all about our awesome Code Commons page. So right now there is a Code Commons page up, and it looks like this. It is accessible from Portal, but I am happy to announce an update that is going to go live this evening, and it looks like this. So our current or our upcoming organization here is that we have some about pages, but on the right we have things narrowed down to 3 places. We have our presentations. These are all of the user services team's prior presentations and some articles. There's not much here yet, but expect more to come here soon. But what I really want to show you all about is our learning paths. So we have created between R and Python a total of 20 micro learning lessons. So we have, they're the same between the two of them, just in a different language. So really there's 10, but the intent for these is that a new user or somebody that wants to be trained up in using R and Python in our environment could go through each of these 10 topics, read them, and then come out the other side just ready to tackle any task in their role. So we start with just like an intro to Python, but it is also tailored to our environment. So we have the very second topic is on the Databricks utility. So how to actually use R or Python to manipulate things on Databricks in our environment. And then we go through the whole gamut of working with different data frames, work with missing data, tabulating data, summary statistics, merging data, and of course, a little bit of data visualization. This stuff is, I believe, live right now I think it's under Data Camp, but starting tomorrow morning, bright and early, you should be able to view it like I am here with these beautiful tabs, 10 and 10, pick your language, it's a blast. These changes, again, they're going to go live this evening. And if you have not yet visited this place in the Databricks workspace, we do have a community workspace that everybody should be able to access. So workspace CDR PSA community. And in here, we have all of our Code Commons notebooks. So all of the files and documents that we do have on Code Commons, they are actually like viewable and clonable and runnable within Databricks without any additional work. So if you want to say, hey, I learned a lot on this learning path, I want to run this myself, it is all here for you. Currently, what you see here is the old sort of drop-down structure here. But when the update goes live this evening, this will also follow the same pattern as all of our things up here. All right. I think I zoomed through this pretty quickly. I think I might be out of things to talk about. Yes. And the last thing I want to mention is that all of this is still in progress, right? The Code Commons is supposed to evolve and change over time. We are constantly adding new trainings here and things like that. So we welcome feedback. Please share with us your feedback. Things are pretty dynamic over here. So if something's really wrong, we could fix it right away. If you have any suggestions, we could take them into account and adapt very, very quickly. Awesome. I see there's some chat. I think I have finished here, so I can hand this back
Hey,
to Julia. Yes.
Tim, actually, before you hand it back over, can you also demonstrate the distinction between like the articles and the presentations, how we've kind of transposed things? Just walking through the new way of being able to, hopefully this will make it easier for you to find your content. Because when it does push, the back end has changed, so your URLs are going to change. And so if you had anything that was bookmarked, you're going to have to try to refine that. And so you should be able to, we kept a lot of the same structure, but we just kind of nested it a bit more. So if you could demonstrate some of that as well.
Yes. Thanks, Dan. So the old structure here, these top dropdowns were by what kind of presentation. So if you're going to look for something, Databricks related, you're not going to look, oh, maybe it's an office hour. But that is how we had them here. And if you just clicked into any one of these, you can see the URL up here is dependent on the old sort of drop-down structure, where if I were to go to that same one over here under presentations, office hours, I think I clicked 5. The URL is different so that we know internally we have a lot of links on the Code Commons, and maybe on your end you have bookmarked a lot of links in the Code Commons. Those links will change, but hopefully they will not change anymore. The distinction between presentations and articles is that presentations are things that us on the user services team have given live, such as office hours, data camps, interactive sessions, our lunch and learns and things like that. And articles are currently best practices and reference articles. So these are things that we haven't presented live, but they're things that you need to know and things that are referenced, and the best practices are what those articles look like kind of applied in action. Okay, I think I covered everything Dan wanted me to.
One final note also with that transition over to in the Databricks workspace, that folder structure is also going to mimic the presentations nested folder structure that you see here. So instead of seeing like 5 of these here at the top level, you're going to see 3.
Learning path presentations articles instead of these.
Yep. And then in the presentations content, it will split out. We also merged the data camp and town halls into the others location. So there's just a few things to look at. And again, there's some future work that we're trying to complete in the next month or so that should help you with identifying things in a topical manner, not just by presentation type.
Yeah. One thing we hope to implement is tags, so you can filter things by Python or search for things by Python versus, other things.
Right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll hand it back.
All right, thanks, Tim. And just verifying you can see the deck again.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. Those links have been shared in the Zoom chat at this point. I'm also have a lot of questions coming in. Okay, I'm just gonna take note of those and get those added to our Confluence page so I don't miss any for later. Okay, so with that, we are going to move over to our Q&A portion of our agenda. I do want to just make a note that we do have a survey at the end, just a quick poll. So I'm gonna leave some time for that. So with that, we probably have about 8-ish minutes for questions. So right now, the ones I have coming in that have not yet been answered, as far as I know, I've been trying to keep track and keep careful. So if I ask one that's already been answered, please just let me know. So the first one being, because the United States is just now getting access to Databricks, which is the best data catalog to use? Is it online and in use now, or do we wait until October 1st?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't get off mute. The
Okay.
new data catalog will not be available for a little while, if that's what you're asking, between this and the existing one, the existing static page one. I'm not sure if that's the difference, but ours will not be available for another month or month and a half.
And then just to add, for the states that are onboarding, for example, if you're looking at select IKEYs tables in Databricks, you should be able to see information in Databricks in Unity Catalog as you're working on those tables or columns. So hopefully that helps answer the question.
Thanks, Julie and Alex. The next question, what data catalog tools are being utilized?
I'm not sure I quite understand that question. Sean, do you? Or can we get more clarification on that?
I don't have anything coming in the chat that I'm seeing yet.
I think the question was asked prior to the Sean's demo, and while you were talking, Julie, I'm wondering if it might have been about like which product are we using to host the data catalog?
Oh, okay. Data catalog, we had mentioned it was built on the Data Hub open source platform.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm getting a lot of new incoming ones. Will you be able to search for fields and code values? They just a clarifying, and then it said table fields and the meaning of numerical codes, e.g. O2 facility type is SNF/NF.
You should, the actual data values you wouldn't be able to search on. However, the data descriptions, we're working on being able to show you how to search on those. For any querying, you do that over in Databricks for any actual values. Right now, we can search on the table names and the column names and the schema names.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm just working through our questions and making sure I'm writing down which ones have been answered as well. Okay, the next one then, okay, answer verbally. 147. Okay. And then, okay, those have all been handled. I had a question about runtime for Databricks. For something like GIS mapping, I have used ArcGIS for runtime with 13. Is it possible to have functions like GIS mapping to work with the latest runtime?
I think we'd have to go back to somebody else for a question like that. We only facilitate our workspace team. You know, we just basically just do the Databricks runtimes. And additional built-on functionalities, I think. I'm not sure who would handle that. We'll come back. We'll have to get back to you.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Okay, I would like to know which of the compute types we should use outside of our use. I would also like to know why it's taking so long to attach a cluster. And then last, why can't we change the amount of time to terminate a cluster?
And that's kind of an AW thing. But if there's nobody, is anybody here from AW team? An analytics workspace. Okay. Yeah, so connecting to, you know, it depends when you're connecting to Databricks, your cluster, you've got to spin it up, it's got to install everything. That's all happening somewhere else, and then you've got to be able to make that connection. So I'm not sure if your specific question is about like you have an up and spinning cluster or you're already connecting to, or it's taking a while from the time that it is spinning. You know, spinning up usually takes about 10 minutes. And in my experience, but yeah, it's just part of cloud computing. The timeout feature is something that we have implemented for cost savings, primarily because a lot of people will just, you know, you'll run something and then you'll step away. But even if you're not doing anything, that compute is charging, and we'll need them to be shut down. So we have to pick a time regardless. And that's the one that we've decided on with CMS. If you are losing your intermediate states, which I know a lot of people worry about, I believe we've had some discussions in some of our training content about that and how you can save intermediate data sets, so that you don't have to rerun the entire process to get back to where you were.
Okay, thanks so much, Dan. Okay, just verifying. Okay, a new question just came in. Even with the 15.4 LTS, our notebook runtime still expect to be substantially longer than one seen in SAS.
Are you suggesting that the work that you're submitting through your notebook is taking longer than if you had done the same work in SAS?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that does come into a couple of things, but basically the runtimes, each time they put out a new runtime, they do increase some of the functions usually. They'll add new functions. They'll enhance some of the functions so that they are compiled differently so that they can run a bit faster. Ultimately, if you're having significant lengths of runtime issues, I would recommend looking into potentially restructuring how you write your code, because fundamentally writing distributed code and the process of doing process with distributed code is going to be a different design than what you may be accustomed to. And sometimes if you're writing in a similar linear scripted manner, in something that was built out for distributed work, it's not going to be taking advantage of all the efficiencies it should be.
Okay, thanks so much, Dan. And then I think we have time for one last question. And according to my notes, I think we only have one last question we haven't been answered. Okay, I just saw one come in. I will make note of that, but I don't think we have time to get it answered today. So in SAS Viya, we have the UI to view our data folders, subfolders in our workbench. We've been told to use the UFM MFT to get that UI view for Databricks. Is there any other work being done to get that view in Databricks using Unity Catalog or similar?
So there has been extensive work being done on the back end for the last probably about 5 months trying to get it to happen. The way that it currently exists, even when we finally do figure out how we can implement our approach and our organization into it, it's not going to be exactly the same thing as what you're familiar with. I think, unfortunately, until, and we're working like extensively with Databricks engineers themselves trying to get this, because there are some incompatibility features. Of course, we always get, anyways, and where I'm going with this is, yeah, the UFM, if you want to be able to see something in a tree structure like that, is probably going to be the thing you're going to need to use the most. I do highly recommend people just use the DB utils listing tool as well, and you can do like a as you go down through that listing with a nice display on it, it gives you the information. It doesn't let you crawl the same way as you may have in like a standard file UI or file tree UI, but we are trying to get on that. We've been working actively for the last 5+ months on it. The simple implementation that they said it was going to be is not true, but we haven't given up.
Okay, thanks so much, Dan. So with that, I think we need to move on to our satisfaction survey. Thank you so much to our presenters, to our attendees so far. We do have a little bit of information following the survey, so please stick around for just a few more minutes. And thank you to everyone who answered our questions and asked them. We always appreciate your participation. As I said, that Q&A will be finalized and updated, and then any questions left lingering, we'll get them answered, and then everything will be posted on the CCSQ DNA portal site. So just a reminder, we do value your feedback. We appreciate you giving us information on our survey. Just a little bit more information. This helps us to know how we can improve your experience within the CCSQ DNA environment and community. The results will be used to improve our tools, trainings, and offerings. So with your feedback, we're able to use that feedback to make sure we're giving you what you need. So please only submit a survey if you're a user within the CCSQ DNA environment. In just a minute, that is going to go ahead and pop up on your screen. Okay, so that should be there now. Please make sure that you scroll down and look through all of the questions. Complete the questions relevant to you. There's some options that say NA if not. Make sure you hit submit your answers. And then as a reminder, the survey is anonymous, but if you do want us to reach out to you or you need any like follow-up, please give us your information so we can go ahead and reach out to you. So with that, you have about 5 minutes to complete this. So I will put on some waiting room music while we do that, and I'll give you some reminders with like how much time is left as we go. We are about halfway through our survey at this point. Thank you to those who have answered so far. Just a reminder to make sure you're looking through all those questions, and we appreciate your feedback. Take about 30 more seconds to wrap up. Thank you. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and close out the survey. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. I know we are now officially a minute over time, so we're going to hustle here. Okay, so just a quick thank you for joining us. As a reminder, the meeting materials will be turned around on the CCSQ DNA portal. Just a reminder to give us a little bit of time to turn those materials around. We do need to make sure everything is 508 accessible and ready for everyone. Upcoming events, we have a maintenance event at 8 p.m. on September 5th. Our next town hall, now that they are quarterly, is November 19th, again at 1 p.m. And then, as always, if you have any questions or issues, please feel free to reach out to us via email or Slack. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation today. Thank you to our presenters, and have a great afternoon, everyone.